Howdy, and welcome to Book Your Give Here. We're Travel That Gives. I'm Lulu Lima, your chief travel guru. I hope this episode of Dream Now, Travel Later inspires you to travel, and I invite you to give us the opportunity to help plan your next memorable trip. So grab your popcorn and enjoy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. So, have we had enough travel today for Tuesday? I don't think so. I think we need more. So with that, I have brought my colleague Lindsay with us to talk about Washington, D.C. So D.C., as we know, is obviously all the politicalness about it, but she's going to tell us the other side. And that's the part that I love the most. Yay! We get to really talk about travel. We get to talk about the living classroom. And DC certainly is that, because you can totally learn everything outside of a textbook. You don't need to have the textbook to teach you DC. But before Lindsay starts, we are going to do a nice little video that's really going to showcase where everything is starting from. So with that, here we go.
When you mention Washington, D.C.,
people think
about
about
politics.
There's a whole
world
going on
that
people are not familiar with. And I encourage people to find the real DC, the
people are not familiar with.
DC.
I encourage people to find the real DC, the living, breathing DC.
So that's super awesome. And so now we're really going to kind of get into what is DC, right? So it's not just politics. So
no, absolutely not. That's definitely the one thing I want you all to take away from today is Washington, D.C. is a vibrant city. There is the Washington politics side, but there is an entire city to explore. And so we're going to walk you through a little bit of a virtual vacation today, starting with, just sort of where DC is. I know a lot of you are very familiar with Washington, DC, but if you're not on the East Coast, just a quick reminder, only about 4 hours from New York City. And it's close to Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, so you can do a really awesome multi-city tour as well. So just so everyone knows as well, Washington, D.C. is currently in our phase 2 of reopening. And so we're getting there. Things are opening up. There are things to do. And this is sort of the perfect time to, if you've ever wanted to try a different part of DC and to see some different sites, this is the perfect time to take the opportunity to do that. So, if you want to go back to that slide before, Lulu, we do have, it's really, really easy to get to Washington, D.C. We have 3 airports that you can utilize. The closest being Reagan National Airport, which is 15 minutes from downtown, and you can use the metro system. But as you can see here, D.C. is this lovely diamond shape with 700,000 people who live in this city. And we are between the ages of 25 and 45, so young and vibrant every night of the week. People are out and about having a great time. And there's a lot of families that live in DC. So you see there's tons to explore for families. But, we have a very unique situation where we're also nestled between Virginia and Maryland. So you can use DC as your base, but still go to the Shenandoah Mountains and the wineries, or go to the ocean in Maryland. So it's a great mix of opportunities.
And that's super awesome. And for those of you guys who are in metropolitan cities like New York, obviously the subway is something that we all cherish from New York City. So here in Washington, D.C., you really have a great metro system. And so I remember riding it constantly when I was there. So, between your buses as well as the subways and everything else, you really have a easy way to get around. And it is a very walkable city as well.
Yes, I love that you bring that up. We love getting people walking. We're a very active city in that sense. But we've been voted the #1 most walkable city in the entire country many times over. But yeah, so if you're on that East Coast corridor, you can take the Amtrak, get into Union Station and you're steps away from the downtown. So you'll see here, we like to show the map just to give you a sense of the neighborhoods, and that there's so much more than just the National Mall strip of Washington, D.C. And as you mentioned, our metro. That's exactly.
One of the beautiful things that I love about it is that because your metro system really goes out to the outskirts as well. So you really have the ability to even link up with the light rail and all that other kind of stuff that takes you out, whether it's into parts of Maryland or into Virginia. So everything is right there.
Yes, you do not need a car. Do not bring a car to Washington, D.C. You'll regret it.
No, but you do need a smart trip card. And that's an important piece because that will pay for all of your opportunities for your metro system. So as we do your itineraries, guys, we will be adding this to making sure that you've got all of the moving pieces that you need to make sure, again, you've got it purchased and you're good to go.
Yeah, and another, as we move on, Lulu, the other great thing about this Smart Trip card is that it can be used on the city buses, including the circulator. These are city buses, big red ones. On the next slide, we have a wonderful picture of one of these buses, and there's actually one that goes along the route of the National Mall. So you can go from Union Station past all the Smithsonians and the monuments for $1. As long as you have that Smart Trip card.
That's awesome. I mean, and really $1, you can do a lot of sightseeing too on a bus. And that's one of the things that I've always mentioned in all the cities that I always talk about. You really have the opportunity, if you are game to go on the local buses, you can see so much of the city. And because of the traffic and sometimes, just being able to sit at a light or something, you get to view things with a different set of eyes, right? Because you're just walking around, you're actually going, oh, somebody else is driving and I can look around and be like, hey, how cool is this?
Yes.
So really great opportunity. And the other thing too is that your city is also very bikeable.
Yes. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, bikes, I haven't been on a bike in 20 years. You won't forget how to do it, and it's a flat land. I promise, it's great. And you can do a guided tour. We have a lot of companies that do that, and so you get some exercise. You see the monuments in maybe a little shorter time than if you were walking through them, and you get, the little snippets of background. And so that's great. And there's also trails everywhere in DC. We're mostly constructed of national parks in our city. We're very green, and so. A little fun tip is you can rent a bike, go bike all the way to George Washington's Mount Vernon and take the boat back. So it's a great kind of day excursion there.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about it is because you are taking the bikes, you can actually take them from one area to another and not have to worry about, oh, I need to bring my bike back to where I started. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So you can actually go with your bike exercise and on the way back, relax. Maybe, grab a glass of wine or some beer or something at the local pub, or as you're, even though they're not necessarily open right now, but maybe, a to-go kind of cup and just enjoy. And especially since right now, as we're filming, it's still late summer, so we have great opportunities for amazing weather. But even in the wintertime, this is a great opportunity. This is a destination that is all year round.
Absolutely, and we'll get to some of those fun things a little bit later. But the water taxi, too, I wanted to point out, because this is brand new. It's only about not even 2 years old. And so now our new wharf area, which is our new waterfront. So we have 2 waterfronts now. It connects with Georgetown, National Harbor in Maryland, where the casino is located, and Old Town Alexandria. So you really have a regional transport as well with this taxi.
That's awesome. So let's go into the National Mall area, right? Because obviously that's, the big piece. That's what everybody kind of knows. And, we're all about, oh my God, here are the great monuments and everything else. So highlighted on this map, you've got a nice big purple box. Thank you for that. And so we really highlight, where everything is, and again, how walkable it is too.
Yes, and this is, about a little under 3 miles, a little over 2 miles from the Lincoln Memorial, which is on the left-hand side of the screen, all the way to the U.S. Capitol. And, within that, you get all of your monuments, your Washington Monument, the White House, a slew of Smithsonian, what I call Smithsonian Row there in the middle, before you reach the Capitol. So, that's one day right there.
Absolutely. And so, and for you guys who want to do, DC as a long weekend kind of adventure, that's great. Because, like I said, this is one day. Lindsay's kind of just set it straight. And it makes it really nice and easy. And we can actually do a walking tour for you. So that way you can figure out all of the moving pieces that are important to you on this particular spot.
Absolutely. Yeah, and besides walking tours, there's if you're not a big walker, you rather be on a bus, there are many ways to tour the monuments and memorials. So you have your hop on, hop off bus tours, you have walking tours, we even have professional comedians who do tours of the National Mall. The guided bike tour, again, is favorite version. And I'm just going to put the plug in that just don't forget to see the monuments at night. You see that photo of the Jefferson Memorial lit up there. All the monuments are lit up. They're stunningly gorgeous. Even if you do the tour during the day, so you can get all your pictures up close, going back at night is a completely different experience and will take your breath away.
Yeah, absolutely. And nighttime in DC is a whole other ballgame. So we certainly want to highlight that too, because there is so much beauty with seeing the illumination at night, how things are lit, not only lit up, but also just the vibrancy of the city, after dark.
Yes, I've lived in DC for 14 years and it still takes my breath away.
Oh, that's so awesome.
But, yeah. So, a lot of people are familiar with the Smithsonian Institution. And we just want you to know that the Smithsonian is not just one building. It is 16 buildings interspersed around the Washington, D.C. Most of them on the National Mall, but in other areas as well. The zoo is part of the Smithsonian as well. With the giant, we just had a panda born. We just had a baby panda born this week.
Yay!
Yeah, but resides at the National Zoo, and all of those museums are free, every single one.
So for you guys who are on a budget and want to do something really fun, here's an opportunity. And then also, again, we focus on that living classroom. All of these museums, as well as the zoo, being that they're free as well, give you an opportunity to bring your children. And so let them learn firsthand, right? This is a great opportunity for them to be able to, have that experience. They don't have to read a textbook to learn it. They can experience it. And it's so great for them.
Yeah. And they actually stand in the footprints of history at many of these locations.
And that's awesome. So now we have the International Spy Museum, which, we all love a mystery, right? And so what is a spy but a mystery, right?
Yes. So the International Spy Museum has been with the DC family for over 10 years. But last spring, they opened their new location, which you see here at LaFont Plaza, which is near the Air and Space Museum, so walkable again to the National Mall. So it is twice the size now. So if you've been before, you have to go back. It's completely new, brand new exhibits, super interactive. They have, if you come with a big enough group, they can do little workshops, on forensics and things. But you get to put on the persona of a spy. You go through, you have little missions. And at the end, they tell you if you would have been a good spy or not. So it's
awesome.
Amazing.
That's like your own game room, like your own, going in there and you've got your own escape. Oh my God, how awesome.
Yeah. And we also have two other museums. One that just, again, opened this past January, the National Children's Museum, and that focuses highly on STEM. So all of your science classes and things can happen right here in that museum. And then Planet Word, which should open in October, hopefully, is really bringing words to life. Language, everyone, text and things, but this is reminding you the power of words. So I'm so excited. If you love like crossword puzzles and Harry Potter, libraries, you're going to love this place.
Oh my God. I'm already in love with just the picture. So the beautiful thing about, everything that we do here is that there is a lot of multi-generational opportunities, within the whole DC capital as well as outside of it. So there's so many monuments that we just talked about, so many great things. So we certainly want to kind of highlight some of that. And then of course there's a great food scene, right? So you've got over 2,200 restaurants, and you've got Michelin star restaurants in this whole setup. So you'll never go hungry.
No. And what's so great, so, we have close to 200 embassies in our backyard, which is unique to any city in the entire world. So we have so much global influence to our culinary scene. So we don't have one thing that's a DC cuisine, right? Because we have so many flavors coming at us. But some things that, and for the Michelin Guide, we're only the 5th city in the United States to be honored with a Michelin Guide. So we're very proud of that. Jose Andres is our, hometown chef who's doing some really wonderful things within communities. So we want to really explore that. But Ben's Chili Bowl and the Half Smoke, the only restaurant that survived the riots after MLK's assassination on U Street. We have District Donuts and Georgetown Cupcakes, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with that TV show. And if you love, your happy hours, we're the city to do it. Go on your rooftops. As you saw from the picture before, we don't have high rises in DC. No. We don't have skyscrapers. So we have a lot of rooftop experiences, of rooftop dining and bars, which is a great place to, try your gin Ricky, which is DC's cocktail, and, grab some Ethiopian food, because we're the, outside of Africa, we have the most Ethiopians in Washington, D.C. So that is definitely something you need to try.
And that's so awesome. And so we can even make an entire itinerary off of this culinary exploration opportunity, right? So because you've got so much going on here. You've got, and again, this is just the beginning. So we can do a total itinerary of just culinary exploration. So for you foodies out there, this is it for you. We've got it all.
Yes.
So with that, there's also a lot of different theater opportunities as well. Because you, again, being such a vibrant city that you are, you really have all of these performing arts and things like that we really can enjoy.
Yes.
And so you have from opera all the way through different musicals and plays and.
Yes, we have over 30 theaters in DC. And so, we do, the Kennedy Center is the, our mainstay for opera and ballet and our Broadway circuit. But, you have so much more in terms of homegrown theaters, productions as well. We have a huge community in that. And besides just theater, there's so much art in DC. There's so much hidden art within like the Library of Congress, and you have, we have mural arts everywhere that the city commissioned that highlight, leaders of our city. So the sky's the limit for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, it's also sports. I mean, you've got something for everybody. You've got baseball, soccer, you've got the NBA, the NHL. I mean, there's literally everything. So, which is amazing. I remember being in FedEx Field on New Year's Eve for a playoff game. So, so everything is, totally doable. I've been to Nationals Park and watched the Mets play the Nationals. So I'm I'm a diehard Mets fan, even though now I still live in Texas. I still support my Mets. But there is a great opportunity overall of just all of these pieces, right? So whether you're into sports, you're into art, you're into culinary, it's all here. And it's just, and it's amazing. And it's in our backyard. No passport needed.
No passport needed. And I will say to you that we've had, in the past couple of years, so many championship wins. The Nationals won, the Caps won a few years back, the Stanley Cup. And then let's not forget our women's basketball team, the Mystics, won last year. So cheers to them. But besides professional sports, we, again, are a very active city. There is a ton of outdoor activities to be had. And especially right now, everyone wants to spend a lot of time outdoors, and you can see all the fun things you can do.
So, and that's awesome, right? So, because wellness is not just a spa treatment, it is also, it's soft adventure as well. But even for you guys who are a little bit more into a higher adventure, you absolutely can do some of this stuff here in DC. So not only can you take in your culture and your learnings of what the history is, but you can also have these great opportunities. I mean, kayaking on the Potomac, I mean, that's amazing, right? So you have great opportunities. Where again, you can have your hiking, you can do things that yoga on the National Mall. I mean, wake up early in the morning at sunrise. What an amazing way to start your day.
Yeah, and I just want to pull out Rock Creek Park for a second because that's a National Park Service land, so again, free. It's twice the size of Central Park in New York City, so there's trails. Woo-hoo! And there's actually there's a horseback riding center in there. You can ride horses in Washington, D.C.
I mean, come on now. How awesome is that? You can have your equestrian what's the word I'm looking for here? Fetish, so to speak, or you've got or if you've got this, desire to ride horses and you've never done it before, here you go. And because the city is only at a tier 2, you've got a lot of opportunity to really explore the city, in the sense of it's not overcrowded. So you're going to have that social distancing. So it's going to be super awesome.
Yes.
So obviously, right now we're not doing a lot of the events and festivals, but when we do have them, I mean, I remember being in DC for Cherry Blossom, and I just love watching the trees. And like, I came at different points. I've come when they're early in the start of the season, and then when they're full bloom. And it's just absolutely beautiful.
Stunning. There's, over 200 cherry trees that are around the tidal basin. And though, some people are like, well, how do I time it right? Even if for some reason the timing is not perfect, there is 3 weeks of activities during this festival. So you still have the parade, you still have the fireworks show, the kite festival. So, just because you can still have a great time, even if they're not in full bloom at that point.
And that's awesome. And so, but again, there's so many other things that are out there. And as the city will start opening up and, new protocols for COVID are in place and things like that, we will have an opportunity here to really go back and experience these festivals in their full onset, right? So we definitely want to go back to that.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about, just outside of DC, and Georgetown is really an opportunity to experience that. It's, you've got a different vibe up there.
Yes. And so it's really interesting. Georgetown, when the city was first created, Georgetown was not part of DC. It was its own separate city. So it does definitely, and it has a very old feel. It has cobblestone streets still. The houses are quaint. And it's some of my favorite places to walk around. So we wanted, I wanted to dive into this neighborhood a little bit because you'll see even in each neighborhood you can spend an entire day.
Yeah, and that's super awesome, right? Because there's so many things that you can do. Where starting off your morning, and for those of you guys who are TV buffs or movie buffs, obviously The Exorcist is something that you can really enjoy. I love going to see where things have been filmed in general, and and there's almost every part of DC has had a clip somewhere, and I think that's that's
the West
Wing.
Yeah. I mean, you had Spider-Man crawling up the Washington Monument a few years ago. So.
Exactly. So there really is so much to see and do and just enjoy. So now we leave Georgetown and we go a little bit more into the southwest area and the Capitol Riverfront. So here you're going to see not only amazing foods and an amazing nighttime view, right? It's actually real. I think it's a little romantic on the riverfront.
It is. This is that new wharf neighborhood I was speaking of. This is our newest addition to DC, and it definitely is great for a date night walk down the river. There's also 3 live entertainment stages here. One being able to house 6,000 people. The Anthem that's right on the water, and then you're very close as well to the ballpark and the soccer stadium. So you can, and kayaking again, like this is a good launching point for that, or a dinner cruise.
Yeah, and that's awesome, right? And so and what we didn't talk about was in the after wine tasting, and that is super awesome. So now you're paddleboarding with a glass of wine or a glass of beer, and how amazing is that? You get to combine 2 amazing things together.
Yes, it's my favorite neighborhood. Don't tell anybody I said that, but it's my favorite neighborhood.
Well, we know where everybody else is going to come visit you, right? So there you go.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, in Capitol Hill, everybody knows. Obviously that's where everything and anything happens, right? So
yes, but it yeah. So you get your history, right? You get that in, and then but across the street of the Library of Congress, which again is just a hidden treasure of art. So if you are art buff, you must go to the Library of Congress. And they're connected by a tunnel, so that's super fun too to do. But in the backyard of Capitol Hill, you again have sort of a foodie treasure trove, and also again, if you like to get artisan crafts, Eastern Market has been in existence for decades and decades. So that's a great place to wander through and buy some trinkets, some original artwork. Before one thing on the weekends is getting your buckwheat blueberry pancakes from the market. That's what everyone kind of goes for over there.
You're making me hungry, girl. Blueberry pancakes. I gotta go.
But then you can walk it off and you walk through and see all the fun townhouses that were built during the Civil War.
Yeah, no, that's great. So the beauty about the city is that you can eat your heart out and you won't feel like you've eaten your heart out because you walked it all off. So,
absolutely.
So you know how they say, your intake in must be your intake out, right? So you're definitely getting that out piece of it as you're walking and enjoying the entire city, no matter what itinerary you're doing on whatever day.
Yes.
So so moving on to 14th Street and the U Street corridor, right? So that's also an amazing opportunity here because that's a really different highlight. Again, another flavorful feel of what Washington DC is about, right? So,
yeah, this has become sort of the nightlife area of DC. A lot of locals live in this neighborhood, but it's also really rich in history. This was historic Black Broadway. So this, during segregation was where the Black leaders all lived. Howard University is located here. The Ben's Chili Bowl I mentioned earlier with that half smoke. Little Ethiopia is up here. And then a lot of the murals that you can see and do a tour of are in these neighborhoods. And the biggest thing as well is that, this was one of the birthplaces of jazz. Duke Ellington was born in Washington, D.C. He played here. And we created go-go music. It's our official music now as of 2020. We just had Chuck Brown Day yesterday, celebrating Chuck Brown. So, there's like a lot of surprises about D.C. We're a lot cooler than your grandparents' D.C. was.
And that's super awesome, right? Because that's important to say. Because the destination really is highlighted about, who we are and what we're doing and all of that kind of stuff and who we're becoming. So, so with that, we always want to highlight, things that are off the beaten path. So Lindsay for us today has given us a lot of little things that not everybody knows about. And so, whether it's the H Street food tour, which by the way, we'll all be doing, because again, we have to eat our hearts out. Knowing that, there's a little Ethiopia, obviously, kind of exploring all of those moving pieces. But here's also on our screen, just an opportunity to see multiple places that have a lot of history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to pull out, if I can, just we mentioned the H Street, because that's definitely a part of it. If you want to see DC, raw DC, the H Street is where you go. But the Congressional Cemetery is so cool. Like John Philip Sousa is buried there, and this is a beautiful place where you can do guided tours there. Again, St. John Paul, the shrine has Marco Rupnik mosaics within the shrine area. So again, even if you're not religious, an art enthusiast would really love it. And then the picture that you see is Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens, where every summer they have lotuses that bloom and a full festival there. So
that's so awesome. That is super, super awesome. So totally love that. So with that, obviously, DC is certainly a place where everybody needs to go, needs to experience. And I absolutely love cities that have so much flavor and flair and it's green, right? So it's sustainable and all of that. So that's super important overall. So I'm excited that we got a chance to kind of talk about, obviously a lot of the high level pieces of it, but there's so much more. And yes. I'd love to be able to explore with all you guys who are interested in talking about DC, building an itinerary and giving you those extras, right? So, and whatever I don't know, Lindsay will be there to help me make sure that I put it all there for you. So with that, Lindsay, do you have anything else to say about DC or to the viewers?
We cannot wait for all of you to join us in our city. It is the capital city, it's your city. You all are our family, and we can't wait to have you spend some time with us.
Awesome. Well, with that, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time today. This has been amazing. And so I will say namaste until the next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.